The wheels of justice are turning a lot slower in Clark County. The district attorney admits COVID-19 has made court a bit more complicated, and that's left hundreds of families waiting for justice.
I am out here this evening to brief you on a homicide investigation that we are conducting on Garden Grove.
The crime left the family horrified. In September of last year, a 55-gallon drum filled with chemicals also held the body of Jennifer Rattay. It was discovered in this Southwest Valley neighborhood near Flamingo and Rainbow.
We never even got to see any remains. You know, we just had to go by what they told us. And it's just been horrendous.
Jennifer Rattay's daughter, Kelsey Jackson, and her mother, Marianne Rattay, are demanding justice against her killer, Chuck Chiakul, who admitted to police he shot and killed Jennifer days before her body was located. The motive? Chuck's own brother says he was planning the killing in the days leading up to the deadly encounter because of a disagreement over drugs and sex, a notion that Marianne Rattay believes may not even be close to the truth.
But he wanted her to be more than just a friend to him, and he didn't like her rejection, and that's, I believe she was actually, abducted when all this happened.
Court documents show Chuck shot Jennifer during a struggle while the pair were driving, telling police during an interrogation Jennifer didn't die right away and she couldn't speak because her mouth was full of blood. Chuck says he drove around until there were no signs of life, dumping parts of the gun he stole as he drove around Las Vegas.
I mean, to me, it's something that's a major, sick crime.
Days later, police believe Chuck acquired a drum and gallons of ammonia, stashing Jennifer's body in his mother's garage until she complained about a smell. When investigators came knocking, Chuck admitted her body was in the container.
And then he just did what he did to get rid of, her body so that he wouldn't possibly get caught.
Obviously, the underlying offense here is horrendous. And beyond that, he has priors for just about everything. Has arrests for drugs, violence, sex cases, guns, domestic violence, and he has a raging meth problem.
Chief Deputy District Attorney Erica Mendoza laid out parts of the case in this hearing back in May. COVID-19 at the time pushing many proceedings virtually. Chuck's attorney asking for bail to be set or for him to be released from jail over coronavirus concerns.
I think the community, his family, are all at great danger if he is released.
A judge deciding no bail and no release. Documents from the district attorney's office indicated prosecutors had enough evidence to prove first-degree murder, a cold, calculated murder in the eyes of Marianne and Kelsey. But in August, another virtual court hearing brought another twist.
My understanding is that you've agreed to plead guilty today to one count of second-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Prosecutors cut a deal with Chuck for life in prison with a possibility of parole after a minimum of 10 years locked up plus an undecided weapons enhancement term. A deal that Marianne says she wasn't consulted about until after it was already on the table. She questions if COVID-19 court complications and a massive case backup motivated a plea deal.
That's not what was said, a couple months prior, but I have to trust. I didn't really have a choice.
13 Investigates asked the district attorney's office about the second-degree murder plea deal. A statement reads in part, quote, "There are many elements that must be proven in a case, and premeditation is one that is required for a first-degree murder conviction. Through the review process, my office determined that a second-degree murder charge was the most appropriate given the evidence." The DA adding the deal guarantees Chuck will be held accountable. That's something that is never guaranteed if a case goes to trial.
It helps me thinking that there's some kind of justice putting down for my mom. It helps me to think that he's getting put into prison for the amount of years he's going to.
But as one case moves towards resolution, there are hundreds of more in line. 13 Investigates has learned COVID-19 has led to a massive case backup. District court trials just resumed late last month after a 6-month hiatus.
We have 330 pending murder cases. We've got over 2,000 people sitting in the county jail awaiting for their cases to be resolved, and thousands more of out-of-custody cases that are in the system and or entering the system.
DA Steve Wolfson says justice delayed is not justice denied.
There are families that are having their justice delayed. That's the reality of the situation. But they're not being denied the justice in the sense that they may have to wait a little longer, but we're not giving up on achieving justice.
Hi, honey, it's your mom. I'm just calling to tell you I love you and good night and sweet dreams, and I love you, and miss you.
Marianne and Kelsey now keep Jennifer's ashes in a locket, a piece of a life lost, but not forgotten. The DA's office tells us Chuck Chiarcool could be eligible for parole anywhere between 11 and 18 years from now. It's up to a judge to decide. We'll let you know what happens. Joe Bartels, 13 Investigates.